Hi, this is Maddox again presenting part 2 of my Rolling in Cuba series. After Christopher Columbus arrived in Cuba in 1492, it became a Spanish colony. Before that, it was occupied by the Indians who grew yucca and tobacco, amongst other plants. During its colonization by the Spaniards, it began to grow sugarcane and tobacco and started to manufacture sugar, rum, and tobacco, which Cuba is known for today. Today, these plants are an important part of Cuba. Sugarcane is one of the largest crops in Cuba. As sugarcane production grew, slaves were needed to work in the fields and harvest the crop. Slaves were brought into Cuba from Africa and remained until it was abolished by a Spanish royal decree in 1886. A large proportion of Cubans are descended from these African slaves, maybe as many as 60% of the population. So we've been walking and we just came across some pig heads, like actual heads with flies in it, but I think it's for the dogs.
Like killing rooster, killing some animals, and I don't know, I'm not religious, I don't believe in African religion, but I know that because here you're going to find some themes that are a specific part of that religion. Also,
Cuba mostly remained a Spanish colony until it gained independence from Spain with the help of the Americans. The Americans had promised to keep Cuba independent of the U.S. when they removed the Spaniards. But the economy grew with lots of U.S. influence and investment, which also brought tourism, but there was also a lot of political corruption in Cuba. Much of the land was owned by a small number of people, and there were many who were unemployed or undereducated. This created the unhappiness that ultimately fueled the revolution led by Fidel and Raul Castro. The revolution began in 1953 because people were unhappy with the corrupt government, which at the time was under the rule of Cuba's President Batista. They were unhappy with the large differences between the wealthy and the poor, unemployed and undereducated. Brothers Fidel and Raul Castro, along with other leaders, which included his general Che Guevara and advisor Cienfuegos, led a guerrilla war against the government. That ended with them taking power in January of 1959. Their goal was to take Cuba back from the haves and give ownership back to the people.
This is Revolution Square. This is where Fidel Castro, when he was healthy, used to call lots of people to come here and have a big meeting. The meetings used to take like about 6 hours. It's a long time. And he used to speak right here at this place.
Today, the government is in charge of taking care of the people, free education, and health care for all. They are supposed to provide shelter, food, and transportation. Some people in Cuba think Fidel is a hero and he takes good care of his people.
Okay, so what is this?
well, that store is a communist store here in Cuba where the government provides pregnant women some stuff regarding the baby, and when the baby is born, they used to come here and to buy in a really low price that kind of stuff.
Do they still come here?
Wait, what did you say?
Do they still come here?
Yeah, of course, like here. She's a pregnant woman and she's going to come here to buy the things I was telling you. It's like an option that only socialist countries provide for pregnant women. It's also a possibility that only a socialist country like Cuba can provide. For example, old people who doesn't have a family and they are alone, they come here and the government provides them everything they need for living, for having a normal living. I mean, a house and enough food for eating, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Those are normal houses.
So this right here, this whole thing? Do they live there?
No, they don't live there. They come here in this part. There are some rooms inside, and some. Maybe this is only the part for having the breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
Those ones are normal houses.
Oh, got it. So do they just give them money, or do they just give them a room to stay?
It can be it depends on the situation they have. Sometimes it can be money, sometimes a place and enough food. It depends on each person. Sorry.
But there are also those that disagree. They say his people have a poor quality of life and are not well taken care of. The food is rationed and it's not as plentiful and available as it is in the US. For example, they say that it's difficult for people to get basic needs. They say that the only medicines available to the common people are the ones made in the country, so it's difficult to even get aspirin.
So this is the drugstore.
Okay.
It's kind of like CVS, but in Cuba.
Okay.
It's so different.
After Fidel took power, he refused to cooperate with the US, as he was not in favor of what he considered imperialism, and the US represented that. This eventually led to the US creating an embargo against Cuba and cutting off all diplomatic and economic ties, and also asked other countries to do the same. This left Cuba stuck in the technology of the late 1950s and without enough money to maintain its cities.
We're in an old taxi, right? It's a taxi that the people take.
Today, the restrictions have become lighter, tourists are welcome, and Cuba is starting to change.
So,
What?
this is an example of cueing music.
U.S. has lightened its restrictions on travel and commerce, and maybe Cuba will soon be completely open again. But hopefully the beauty and culture will stay the same, and it will not have a McDonald's.